Sarah, so happy you're here, Sarah. Knowledge is power. Tell us a little bit about your work and how it relates to these topics of e-governance and peace building and democratic development.
Thanks for having me. So at Knowledge is Power, we as a nonpartisan 501c3 in the U.S. designated organization, like I was saying earlier, we work to increase the capacity of citizens to effectively engage with their government. And on the government side, we work with governments to really absorb that increased capacity of citizens. And so we see the challenges in terms of creating effective citizen participation. And while we don't focus on youth exclusively, it is a trend we see increasingly amongst youth requesting more participation online. What we see is that oftentimes government isn't fully prepared for the capacity that citizens now have innately by the technology that they carry around in their pockets. And citizens as well don't necessarily understand the complex processes of government, who to talk to, when to talk to, where to get information that they can act on, so when they make their voice heard, they're making it in an appointed and direct manner. And so I wanted to share a couple of quick stories with you in the 5 minutes I have. As an example of some of the challenges we're seeing in e-governance and some of the fantastic opportunities. Just a small example from Portland, Oregon in the States. Portland, Oregon, an incredibly techie city. And the government there has, in the last few years, done a tremendous amount of work to engage its citizens online. The tech office and the city created an app that went out to smartphones on various networks that you could report any pothole that you saw. In a month's time, the city received 3 years' worth of pothole reports. There's 8 people on the pothole crew for a city of 350,000 people. They said to the city and the IT team, what do you want us to do? Like, we just can't fix that many potholes in the appropriate amount of time that we're supposed to fix them. And so what I think that story is illustrating is that there is a latent demand for citizens to be able to tell their governments things, share their stories, share concerns, and governments may perceive the technology as overwhelming them, but it's really just releasing citizen concerns that have been there all along, but people didn't know how to engage the government. And suddenly a tool was there to engage them around something as simple as fixing potholes. And I've seen within government, as millennials have taken on roles within government, they've gotten incredibly frustrated with the technology that they have to use within government to do their job. I've had many of them say at our conferences called Open Gov West, where we bring together governments from across North America, technologists, citizen organizations, that they would rather go home and work on their laptop and use free tools on the internet to do their job than to use anything they have to use at the office. Unfortunately, they're not allowed to. So I think the good news for youth is that there's their peers and those slightly older than them are pushing for change in governance and citizen engagement within government. It may take another 5 to 10 years for those individuals to reach leadership posts where they can press for new decisions and funding methods and technology use. Yet we see some of these millennial leaders and people in government of all ages across governments striking out on their own and forming Twitter accounts to engage citizens or constituencies of the service that they create. And oftentimes the bureaucracy doesn't know what to do. Like, oh no, someone is tweeting. And yet these folks, by and large, have been let to continue doing that work because those within the institution are saying, well, this is perhaps a good experiment. We'll try it out. So I think we're in a phase right now with government where even though there's been a few big bright points in terms of social media use and e-governance, that we're still, government lags 4 to 5 years behind the the public and the private sector in terms of technology adoption. And if you think about it, 5 years ago, we were just starting to use social media technology. So I think we're going to see a lot of rapid changes over the next 5 years in terms of governance, but a lot of internal fights. And I think the other, and let me know how I'm doing on time, John. I think we're also seeing a shift in governance in terms of communication and engaging citizens away from using Twitter and Facebook and other social media tools and websites as just tiny press releases. You know, you see like 140 character press release link, a Facebook post, hey, we did this, link to a press release. And not a lot of engagement, and that's often because the policies of our government, even our open government and COIPA and all of these different rules we have to allow governments to be more interactive, were created well before any of the technology we're using. And some of those rules actually prohibit online meaningful conversations. So as those policies are changing, as those leadership is changing, we're seeing examples where social media is really being used as a way to foster conversations and not just sharing, government saying, can you share your ideas with us, but government saying, we want to better understand the issues in your community, can you share information with us? Or governments opening up their data, opening up their information so that citizens can be more informed and more engaged.
For instance, I hear a lot of collaborative governance models, right? Where there's like participatory budgeting and ways of the creative solutions where people are getting more involved as governments are opening themselves up to this kind of input. Good. Is there anything else you want to say?
I would say that I think from the citizen side of things, from youth who are organizing, I think as elections take place, as we move leadership into government, we have to reframe how we expect to engage with them, because it's not as free-flowing as in the campaign environment. And I think a lot of Americans got quite frustrated seeing the transition from Obama the campaign to Obama the presidency, not realizing that there were laws in place that prohibited the same kind of free-flowing conversation. And so I think it takes a lot of patience on both sides to navigate this new world, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's new signs of corruption or new signs of not being listened to, but rather new processes we have to go through to engage in meaningful conversations with each other.
Yeah.